When you want more from someone, your instinct might be to lean in, text more, call more, show up more. You think, if I just do a little bit extra, they'll finally see how much I care. They'll finally realize what they're missing. But what we often forget is this: attraction isn't built through pursuit. It's built through presence. It's not how much you chase someone that makes them want you. It's the energy you walk into the room with. It's how grounded you are in who you are when you're not trying to prove anything. When we chase someone, what we're really doing is saying, you're more valuable than me. Your time is more precious. Your attention is a prize I need to earn. And from that mindset, we become smaller. Our actions become desperate, even if we're trying to hide it. They can feel it. People are incredibly intuitive. They know when someone's acting from a place of insecurity rather than confidence. And chasing, even when it's disguised as just being nice or putting in effort, carries the energy of insecurity. Think about the last time you were around someone who was totally at ease with themselves. They weren't trying to impress anyone. They weren't anxiously wondering whether people liked them. They were just there, fully present, fully engaged, not chasing approval, just existing in their own power. That kind of presence is magnetic. It draws people in because it signals, I don't need anything from you. I'm whole on my own. That's what true attraction is built on. Not proving, not convincing, but being. When you stop chasing, you give people the space to feel your absence. And that's where desire grows. You have to allow the other person room to choose you, not pressure them into choosing you. And ironically, the more you let go of trying to get them, the more likely they are to lean in. Presence means you show up with purpose. You're not there to fill silence or kill loneliness. You're not reaching out just because you're scared they'll forget you. You're there because you have something meaningful to share, because you value connection, but you also know you're enough without it. That kind of presence makes people stop and pay attention. It shifts the dynamic completely. They go from, I know you want me, to, wait, who is this person who seems so confident, so secure, so different? We're taught that love is about pursuit, that if you want something badly enough, you should go get it. But relationships don't work like job applications. You don't get rewarded for chasing harder. In fact, you often get punished for it, emotionally, because the moment someone senses that you've lost your sense of self in trying to gain them, they start to question your value. And I know that sounds harsh, but it's true. People want to be wanted, yes, but they also want to want you back. And they can't do that if you never give them the chance. Presence also means having a life that doesn't revolve around someone else's attention. It means being lit up by your own passions, your own friendships, your own goals. So many people pour all their energy into getting a response from one person instead of building a life that people naturally gravitate toward. You want to be the kind of person someone doesn't just text back. They want to be part of your world, want to experience what it feels like to be in your energy. But you can't create that if you're always the one chasing. I've seen people sabotage amazing opportunities because they couldn't stop trying to prove themselves. The truth is, you only need to prove something when you doubt your value. And that doubt bleeds through. It leaks out in our tone, in our texts, in our silence when we should have spoken, or in our oversharing when we should have held back. But when you truly know your worth, you can let go of the need to pursue. You can sit back, breathe, and trust that if something is meant for you, it doesn't need to be forced. Presence is power. It's the opposite of needy energy. It's calm, it's controlled, it's centered in the knowledge that your love is a gift, not something to be bartered, not something to be begged for. And the moment you start acting like your love is the gift, is the moment people start seeing you differently, not because you became someone new, but because you stopped hiding behind the chase and let your real value speak for itself. So if you want more from someone, don't chase them. Be more present in your own life. Step into your worth and let your energy do the talking. When you show up with presence, you won't need to run after anyone. They'll feel the difference and they'll come to you. When we talk about attraction, most people think it's about being sweet, available, accommodating. They think if they just show how much they care, how deeply they're invested, the other person will naturally feel the same. But here's the truth that a lot of people miss. Attraction doesn't grow from someone chasing after you. It grows when you feel challenged in the right way. And this is where most people go wrong. They try to chase connection. They try to chase closeness. And by doing that, they remove the very thing that makes someone sit up and take notice. See, when you chase someone, you're telling them they don't need to do anything to have you. You're already there. You've already decided. You've already chosen them. And while that might feel romantic to you, what it actually communicates is that there's no standard, no process they need to go through, no effort they need to put in. It's already a done deal. Now let's flip it. Imagine instead of chasing, you challenge someone. Not in a confrontational or aggressive way, but through your standards, your self-respect, your willingness to walk away from something that doesn't feel mutual. That challenge creates tension, and that tension is what draws people in. It's not about playing games. It's about creating meaningful boundaries that say, I'm here, but only if this feels right, only if this is being built together. When someone never has to earn your attention, your time, your energy, they start to assume those things have no value. It's human nature. We value what we work for, what we earn, what we invest in. You know that feeling when you've saved up for something and finally you get it? It means more. It feels more significant. And the same is true in relationships. When you stop chasing and start challenging, you're telling someone, I'm not just here to give my affection away. I'm here to share it with someone who's also showing up. That energy, that quiet confidence, it changes the dynamic. Suddenly, they're not thinking, I've got this person wrapped around my finger. They're thinking, wait, I have to show up. I have to participate, or I could lose this. That's the shift. And that's where desire grows. But here's the catch. Many people are scared to be that person. They're scared that if they don't chase, if they don't prove how much they care, the other person will walk away. And that fear keeps them stuck in this loop of overgiving, overinvesting, and getting less in return. It's a hard truth to face, but the people who are right for you, they won't leave because you stop chasing. They'll stay because you made them feel something real. Challenge doesn't mean playing hard to get. It's not about being cold, aloof, or emotionally unavailable. It's about having value. It's about letting someone know, this is who I am, this is what I bring to the table, and I'm not going to keep showing up if you're not doing the same. That kind of clarity is refreshing. It's powerful. It draws the right people closer and filters out the ones who were only there for the convenience. And you know what's really beautiful? When someone does rise to meet your challenge, not because they feel pressured, but because they want to. Because they see what's in front of them and realize it's rare. That's the connection you're looking for. That's the kind of person you want to build something with. Someone who respects your standards, your time, your energy. You're not looking for someone to complete you. You're not looking for someone to save you. You're looking for someone who's also doing the work, who shows up with the same intention. And the way to find that person is not by chasing harder. It's by stepping back and creating space for them to come forward. When you stop chasing and start challenging, you allow someone to meet you where you are, not where you're trying to pull them toward. And in that space, you find out who really wants to be there. That's not rejection. That's clarity. And clarity is a gift. So if you find yourself constantly chasing someone, constantly trying to prove your worth, pause. Ask yourself, what would happen if I just stopped? If I stopped texting first? If I stopped trying to plan everything? If I stopped trying to force something that should be mutual? Let that silence speak. Let the space breathe. You might be surprised who steps into it, because someone who truly wants to be in your life will not need you to chase them. They'll meet your energy, they'll match your effort, and they'll rise to the challenge. Be the reason someone grows, not the reason someone gets lazy. If you find yourself constantly giving more than you're getting, I want you to hear this loud and clear. Chasing someone by over-delivering, over-texting, over-giving, it doesn't win their heart. It just teaches them to do less. There's a very real power in matching someone's energy. If they're giving you 40% and you're giving them 100%, you've created an imbalance. And here's the thing, relationships don't thrive in imbalance. They thrive in mutual respect, mutual investment, mutual effort. We chase because we think that maybe, just maybe, if we do a little bit more, they'll finally realize how much we care. We believe if we just prove our worth enough, they'll wake up one day and love us the way we love them. But love isn't convinced. It's inspired. And you don't inspire someone by shrinking your standards or bending over backwards for their crumbs of affection. You inspire them by showing that your time, your energy, and your attention are not cheap. Think about this. If every time someone reaches out, you're there instantly, no questions asked, what are you telling them? You're teaching them that your attention is always available, no matter how little they invest. That you're waiting in the wings for them to decide when you matter. But that's not attractive. That's not powerful. And more importantly, that's not healthy. You deserve someone who doesn't leave you questioning your worth. Someone who meets you at your level. And if they're not doing that, the answer isn't to do more, it's to do less. Now, I'm not saying play games. I'm not saying ignore them or manipulate situations. I'm saying be honest with yourself about the reality of the dynamic. If you're constantly initiating, planning, checking in, making all the effort, stop. See what happens when you let the silence speak. Will they notice the shift? Will they reach out? Or will they let you drift without a second thought? Their reaction in that silence will tell you everything you need to know. There's a fear that if we stop trying, we'll lose them. But here's the truth. If you stop trying and they disappear, you didn't lose anything. You've just stopped trying to hold on to someone who was never really there in the first place. And that is not a loss. That's a blessing in disguise. It takes courage to mirror someone's effort when you care deeply, especially when your instinct is to nurture, to connect, to pour love into them. You have to remember, real connection is reciprocal. It's not about constantly giving love and hoping it circles back. It's about recognizing when you're the only one showing up and choosing to step back with grace and dignity. Because the moment you start matching their energy, you shift the dynamic. You send a quiet but powerful message. I will not continue to give more than I receive. I value myself too much. And that message doesn't make you cold. It makes you confident. It shows that you're not desperate for attention. You're selective about where your energy goes. And that selectiveness is attractive. It's magnetic. You deserve to be in a connection where both people are leaning in, where it's not always you picking up the phone, making the plans, fixing the misunderstandings. And if that's not the case, don't try to force it. Don't chase the potential of what it could be. Respond to what it is. What they're showing you now is the reality. And if they're not willing to meet you halfway, stop walking the whole distance for them. When you start mirroring effort instead of overextending yourself, you create space. Space for the right person to step up. Space for them to realize what they're missing. Space for your own clarity. Sometimes that space leads to reconnection, and sometimes it leads to closure. But either way, it leads to peace. And peace is always better than being in a constant state of doubt and imbalance. Don't let the fear of losing someone keep you in a one-sided relationship. Don't confuse persistence with love. Persistence is only noble when it's mutual. Without reciprocity, it becomes self-abandonment. And your love should never come at the cost of your self-respect. So the next time you find yourself doing the emotional heavy lifting, I want you to pause. Ask yourself, am I being met here? Or am I trying to fill the silence with effort because I'm afraid they won't? And then act accordingly. Match their energy, not to play games, but to protect your peace. Because when you hold your value, the right person won't need to be chased. They'll recognize what you bring. They'll meet you where you are. And that's the kind of connection you deserve. You see, one of the most powerful things you can do when you want more from someone is to create emotional contrast. This is a game changer. Most people, when they like someone, they think, let me give more, let me show up more, let me prove I'm all in. And in doing that, they erase the space that allows the other person to actually feel anything at all. If someone is constantly around, always texting, always available, always saying yes, there's no tension, there's no longing, there's no missing. But here's the thing, desire doesn't grow in the presence of constant availability. It grows in the spaces in between. It grows when someone experiences you and then has time to feel the absence of you. That contrast between having you and not having you, that's where the spark lives. That's where real interest starts to breathe. That's when they start wondering what you're doing, why you're not texting, who you might be spending your time with. When you never leave that space for contrast, the person never really gets the opportunity to recognize your value. And it's not about playing games. This isn't about pulling away to manipulate. It's about allowing reality to speak for itself. When someone has access to you 24/7, they don't question it, they don't evaluate it, they don't appreciate it, because it just is. It's like background noise. It's always there. But when you step away, not to punish, not to teach a lesson, it's simply because you have your own life to live, they notice. You shift from being a constant to being a choice. And that's the key. When someone feels they can have you whenever they want, there's no urgency, there's no action. They get lazy. But the moment they feel contrast, the moment they feel the absence of your attention, your effort, your energy, they start to engage, they start to wonder, and they start to move. Sometimes we think that if we're not constantly reminding someone of our presence, they'll forget us. But it's the exact opposite. People remember us more in our absence than in our constant presence. They remember how we made them feel. They remember what it felt like to be around us. They replay the moments, the energy, the vibe. But only when we give them that space to do it. You don't need to text all day. You don't need to be at every event they mention. You don't need to overextend to prove you care. What you need is to be intentional. Be present when you're together. Be warm, be engaged, be real, and then step back. Let the silence do the work. Let your absence be felt. And here's what's wild. When someone really values you, your absence doesn't just make them miss you, it makes them step up. It makes them invest. It makes them move closer. Because they realize you're not chasing. You're not desperate. You're not trying to force anything. You're living your life. And they want in. And if someone doesn't value you, that same contrast reveals the truth. They fade. They stop reaching out. They let go. And as painful as that might feel in the moment, it's actually a gift. Because now you're no longer guessing. You're not hanging on to potential or fantasy. You're seeing clearly. And that clarity frees you. This is where confidence really begins to grow. Not in the chase, not in over-delivering, but in knowing that you're enough without needing to prove it every 5 minutes. You're enough even when you're not texting. You're enough even when you're not available. You're enough, full stop. Creating emotional contrast is about leaning into your own life. It's saying, I love spending time with you, but I love my time too. Is knowing that your presence is a gift and your absence isn't a punishment. It's a reflection of your wholeness. It's a reminder to the other person that you're not waiting around for crumbs. You're offering a seat at the table, but only to those who know how to sit at it. And when you live that way, people feel it. You stop becoming the person they take for granted and start becoming the person they don't want to lose because you've taught them something powerful. Not through words, not through lectures, but through your behavior. That being with you is a privilege, not a given. That your energy has value, that your time is not free, that your love comes with standards. So if you're sitting there right now wondering why someone isn't giving you more, why they're not showing up the way you need, ask yourself, have you given them the chance to feel the contrast? Have you given them space to feel what life feels like without you constantly there, making it easy? Because when you create that space, when you allow for that emotional contrast, you don't just reveal the truth about your feelings, you reveal the truth about your power. If you find yourself constantly overthinking how to get more from someone, more time, more effort, more affection, there's something crucial you need to understand. You can't keep investing in someone who's not investing in you and expect it to feel good for long. Because deep down, we all know when we're carrying more of the weight than the other person. We know when we're the one always initiating, always giving, always showing up, while the other person simply receives, maybe offers crumbs in return. And we tell ourselves it's enough. But is it really? We trick ourselves into believing that if we just give a little more, wait a little longer, be just a bit more patient, they'll eventually come around, that they'll realize what they have, that they'll finally appreciate you the way you deserve. But here's the harsh truth. People don't magically change when we sacrifice more for them. They change when they realize they're going to lose something valuable if they don't step up. You can't inspire change in someone by giving them more of you while they give you less of them. That's not how human dynamics work. That's not how value works. In any healthy relationship, whether it's romantic, platonic, or professional, there's a natural balance. There's give and take. There's mutual effort. When that balance breaks and one person starts giving way more than the other, the dynamic becomes imbalanced and unhealthy. The person who overgives ends up feeling drained, resentful, and anxious. And the person who undergives begins to take that effort for granted, or worse, expect it. You have to shift your mindset. Instead of asking, how do I get more from them? Start asking, are they giving enough to deserve more of me? That's where your power lies. Not in chasing them, but in evaluating them. Not in proving your worth to them, but in observing whether they're proving theirs to you. Start investing in people who show up for you. People who call you back, who make time, who ask questions about your life, who don't leave you constantly guessing about where you stand. Don't waste your energy trying to turn lukewarm interest into deep connection. If someone isn't giving you enthusiasm, clarity, and effort, stop auditioning. Stop trying to impress them. Stop giving them premium access to you when they're treating you like an option. You deserve someone who meets you in the middle, not someone who waits for you at the finish line while you do all the running. And I know when you really like someone, when you feel that connection, it's hard to let go. You want to believe in their potential. You want to believe that if you just hold on, it'll all click. But falling in love with someone's potential while ignoring their reality is how we end up stuck, disappointed, and confused. The reality is this: when you stop chasing the people who don't show up for you, you make space for the ones who will. You open the door to connections that feel mutual, safe, and easy. Not because relationships are easy, but because effort feels good when it's two-sided. And that's not just about romance. That's about friendships. That's about your career. That's about your family. There are people out there who are emotionally available, who want to show up, who want to give, who aren't afraid of effort, and who see your value without you having to scream for attention. Those are the people you invest in. Because when you start investing in the people who invest in you, you'll stop needing to chase. You'll stop needing to prove anything. You'll start feeling seen, supported, valued. That's what real connection looks like. That's what your time and energy deserve. Stop fighting to be appreciated in spaces where your presence is tolerated, and start placing yourself where you are celebrated. You are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not asking for something unreasonable. You've just been asking the wrong person. And the moment you stop trying to fix someone else's lack of effort and instead protect your own energy, everything begins to shift. You become more magnetic, not because you're chasing love, but because you're embodying it for yourself and only offering it to those who earn it. Let them rise to meet you. Be the prize, not the pursuer. This shift changes everything. When we chase someone, what we're really saying without words is, I believe you are above me. I believe you're more valuable than me. I need to earn you. And when someone feels that kind of energy from us, it kills attraction. Because attraction is built on mutual value, not hierarchy. When one person is constantly trying to prove their worth, the balance is thrown off. We start auditioning instead of connecting. We stop being ourselves and start performing. And people don't fall in love with performances. They fall in love with presence, with authenticity, with someone who knows their worth and acts like it. Being the prize doesn't mean acting superior or being arrogant. It doesn't mean playing games or being unavailable just to manipulate someone's interest. It means knowing deep in your bones that what you bring to the table is rare, that your kindness, your humor, your loyalty, your energy, your standards, those are things people should work to keep once they find them. It means realizing that You are not waiting to be chosen. You are choosing to. So many people get caught in the trap of wanting someone so badly that they forget to ask a very simple but powerful question. Do they deserve me? Not in a way that puts them down, but in a way that elevates you. If you're showing up consistently, if you're communicating with heart, if you're investing emotionally, physically, mentally, why are you giving that away like it's nothing? Why are you handing your energy to someone who's not showing you that they're ready for it? See, when you believe someone is the prize, you start breaking your own rules for them. You start overlooking your standards. You begin to accept behavior you never would have tolerated before. Why? Because you're afraid of losing them. You're afraid they'll walk away if you speak up or pull back. And guess what? That fear makes you chase. That fear makes you cling. That fear makes you tolerate crumbs, hoping one day you'll get the whole meal. But if you truly believed you were the prize, everything changes. When you believe you're the prize, you don't fear someone walking away. Because you know that losing someone who doesn't value you is never a loss. It's a blessing. It's space. It's clarity. It's the universe making room for someone who will see you for what you are. When you believe you're the prize, you don't over-explain yourself to people who aren't listening. You don't beg for attention. You don't twist yourself into a version you think they'll like. You just show up as you. And if they're the right person, they'll be drawn to that. People sense it. When you carry yourself with quiet confidence, when you hold your boundaries with grace, when you don't rush to fill every silence or chase every signal, they feel that. And it creates mystery. It creates intrigue. It creates respect. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you know you're worth getting. Do you ever notice how the most attractive people in the room aren't always the loudest or the flashiest? They're the ones who look like they don't need anything from anyone. They're centered, calm, like they could enjoy your company, but they're already whole with or without it.